Hello, welcome back to another episode of Coaching Conversations with Nick and Chris. Today we're going to be breaking down the Giver's Gain principle. Hello, welcome back to another episode of Coaching Conversations. I hope you're well today. Nick, how are you feeling today?
Well, very good. We're on the sunny Gold Coast.
Yes.
We just finished our 2-day event and hung out here with the family and the kids and stuff. And,
Good.
thought we'd keep our regular spot of recording podcasts.
Awesome.
So all good, man. It's a semi-sunny day, but we have had sun. So
yes.
And believe it or not, we've got a little tan.
Very good.
Not that
we finished up our.
I got dark skin already, but yeah, there is.
We finished up our mastermind event, biannual mastermind event. Last week. Sorry, Thursday, Friday last week, and yeah, you've had a bit of time to chill out, which was good on the Gold Coast, which was a pretty awesome event, by the way. So
it was an awesome event.
We're looking forward to the next one, which will be next
some
year.
Highlight coming up for that.
Oh yeah, start planning that now. Today, we want to talk about the Giver's Gain principle. This was a theme that came up from our mastermind event, and we want to break this down, share it with people. You may have heard of Giver's Gain. You may have heard about it on a podcast. You may have, spoken about it. You may have even heard of it at a networking event, maybe. But we're going to uncover that today and really break it down. So, Giver's Gain principle. What's it all about, Nick? What's the principle that needs to be understood here?
First of all, let me kind of premise it like this. Giver's Gain has been with us since we've stood upright, right? I think we can kind of squeeze it down today into a set of principles or keys, especially for business. And I'll talk about that in a sec. But I remember back in the day, just between family and friends and relos, we'd never go empty-handed. Yep. And that's kind of a Giver's Gain principle. You go to somebody's house and you never came empty-handed. Even if you didn't have money, you didn't have to be extravagant and buy something. You could make them something, a chocolate cake. I remember my parents, we used to take a rabbit over and stuff like that, right? Because Maltese like eating rabbits, so we'd take a rabbit and give them to them, and whenever they, feel like, with the rabbit, that's what they'd do. So it could be food stuff. It could be, my uncle used to work at Lever Brothers, which was big company now. Well, a big company back then. Sure. He used to get detergents and all of that stuff. And it was a part of his job there, and he'd bring my parents, like they were like washing powder detergents and stuff like that. So they were always going to give, right? And they never, we never gone, oh, we gave you the cake, so you got to give us that, or we gave you the rabbit. It was never that. It was just whatever. Like they just exchanged stuff between them, right? It was kind of a cool thing. So that's been around. But ultimately, the concept is, give something without the need to receive something. And I'm going to get a bit more technical with this. So let me start here. The Giver's Gain principle, if you want to say, in the last 30 or 40 years, like you said earlier, the Ivan Meisner with the networking BNI group, so BNI Business Networking International founder, the founder, Ivan Meisner, speaks about Giver's Gain. In other words, when you're doing business between each other, give first, and then if there's a referral that can come back to you, well, great thing. But if not, give referrals freely, become this person that gives really good referrals, and sooner or later, that's going to come back to you, right? So now that principle started or was maybe more formalized by Dr. Robert Cialdini, and the book is called The Psychology of Influence. It's a groundbreaker. And Dr. Cialdini basically said that if I give something and you take that as you receive that and it feels of good value to you, now subconsciously you've kind of imprinted your brain with saying, hey, he's giving me something, maybe I'll give him something back.
Right.
And in the book, they do a lot of research. One of the levels of research was the Hare Krishnas that you spent. Funny enough, I saw Hare Krishnas on the Gold Coast, which you've never seen in Sydney anymore. But and Hare Krishnas basically in the US was a massive movement, massive. And basically what they used to do is stand at airports or train stations and stuff like that, and give you a little flower, a token of their appreciation, like a little, I don't know, a little daffodil or whatever, and
Sure.
you'd reach into your pocket and go, here's a 20-cent donation or a
Right.
dollar donation or whatever. And a lot of it, US currency, was dollar paper, So basically they're saying for this stem of, a flower with little petals on it, it's, 4 cents worth, not even, right? And the exchange would be $1, all right? And usually before someone boarded the train, they'd put it like in a bin there or whatever, so they could recycle it, get it again and resell it. And then they moved from flowers to like pencils, the little
Right.
keynote pencils, where they
Oh,
would
yeah.
you like to buy a pencil? It's got Hare Krishna written on it or something, but it's a
Ah.
donation. Same thing. This pencil was worth what? 3 cents? It's like a half. And you'd give $1, same thing. So the markup is like ridiculous because
Sure.
people valued it as, God, that's a nice gift. So they did that. And same thing, they'd leave it in a place so they could pick it up again. And then all the way up to things like if people believed in something and, they felt that you were going to give them a cause, like there's research that shows, people would put those big billboards. I'm talking like, like a crane comes and puts it in somebody's front yard because they believed in, I don't know, President Bush was championing, build it in America or something like that. And because they believed it, they'd give a gift of that and say, hey, you can use my front lawn, no problem, to have this big thing. And I'm not even going to charge you for it because it feels like this. I'm giving, right? So once again, it gives again. You can check it out in the book, the psychology of influence, basically. So it's really, really powerful. And that's where the givers gain from. Now, how do I kind of bring that in for business? So the givers gain principle, let's say with us, if I look at UpCoach, when somebody makes an inquiry, our goal is to give them an hour of our time for free in a strategy call, paperwork, all of that type of stuff. They can watch videos, they can do all of that stuff, and then come on with coaches for an hour. And we don't charge anything. We don't ask them for money. We don't do any of that. Actually, it's all free, and we want to nurture them. And then hopefully, if they like what they see, then they can go, hey, cool, you've given me this. I'm happy to part with my money to get coached, right? So, it's this principle of the, free sample. It's the principle of, hey, have a cocktail on us. It's the principle of, check out this set of, paintings that you could use. It's this, hey, free art on your wall. It's this postcard. It's this, whatever it is, like, free internet. Perfect. Any of that stuff. So the giver's gain principle is give first, but it needs to be of value. Don't be tight. No, I'm going to give you a free pencil. Well, that's okay if you're selling stationery, maybe, but I don't know. If you're about to, I don't know, sign up somebody to a, $750,000, new home, free pencil maybe ain't going to cut it, but would maybe free 3D graphic renders cut it? The answer is yes. Now, if then they like what they see, after the plans and they're happy to go ahead with you, then okay, you can charge them and then go that way. But it's of very good value when you think about it.
Yeah.
And how does, like, if you think about how that works, let's say those, you can get them for like $350, $400, maybe cheaper if you're using Fiverr, maybe $200 if somebody do it. And let's say you convert 1 in 5 people, that's costing you $200 each time. That's $1,000 for that conversion. But you go and it's 1,000 out with 5 people that have got these renders, and 1 conversion back at $750 as an example. At let's call it a 20%. So that's 1,000 down for 150,000 back. Is that a good giver's gain? The answer is yes, because you gave first, and that's what you get back.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be a thing. It doesn't have to be a product like a 3D render. It could be such as simple as advice, helping someone along. Let's say someone's going to a builder. I want to build this home. I don't know where to start. He might go and see a designer, or go and see an architect and start working with them. They may ask him for more advice later down the track. How do I do this council thing? What's this DA process? And he might just be able to give them some advice. Again, it's all giving without the intention of receiving anything back. So it doesn't necessarily have to be something yes, that advice is still of value because, he's had the years of experience, but it doesn't have to be a thing, like a
Yeah,
physical thing.
you're exactly right. It doesn't absolutely doesn't have to be physical. I mean, a lot of spiritual groups, if it's a blessing or it's something like that. And you're right. I think Drew from Morgan Business, and he was at our event,
Yeah.
was talking about free advice that some of his experts have
Yeah.
with him, just to be able to get some advice. With us, that's what we do. We give out advice, right? That's our goal. And advice could be on video, it could be on audio, it could be like this. This is free advice, right? When
That's
you
right.
really think about it, we're not
Yeah.
asking you to listen to a podcast. So, and we want to do it because we love doing it. I mean, the whole principle around givers gain, if you're somebody that doesn't like giving, it just doesn't work for you. Because then it feels like, you're kind of getting pumped and not getting anything back. And, I should receive first. If you're the person that goes, I'm not going to give you anything until I receive, the givers gain principles, 1000%. So that's kind of number one, right? It came from Dr. Cialdi and his kind of stuff.
Sure.
It's been well before that, but if you really want to get the feel of it, it's that work. Yeah. Step two, I think, in the gift of giving, I think you receive karma back. And today in business, people are, karma. I mean, let's just think about it. If you're a business owner that everything's always take, you're just hard to deal with, you're, dickhead, or, just this person that just always wants to take all the time and not, so just in the art of giving freely, something of good value and, and helping. The more you help others, the more you're helping yourself, really. That's a big part of the equation. So I think from a karma point of view, things like that pop up kind of crazily. It's funny, while we're talking on this, one of my clients said, could you send me over Oliver's phone number, the electrician? I've got a contact that he may be interested in for some more work.
How cool is that?
Just kind of cool. Yeah, so I've just got it here, right? Which is kind of cool. Like Scott's from down at Bega, and Oliver's from Sydney, right?
Sydney.
It's crazy. And he remembered. He goes, the guy that's got the 4 kids, the Singaporean guy. Well, that's cool, right? Like, so we remembered all of those stuff. And once again, I guarantee you, Oliver's not, man, are you going to send me, people before I tell you something? No, the answer isn't. I mean, that just shows you that it's kind of good karma, and for us, there's a company that we've been nurturing for like 2 years, and I didn't even know the guy's another coach. And now he wants us to do work with the company that he coaches, and there are 125 franchises, so it's kind of, crazy how this happens. And, we wanted to make sure that we care, and, we're not doing it, to receive. Hopefully you receive, but I think it's better. You receive more in karma than you do in money, isn't it?
Yeah. I think part of it ties into what Tony Robbins is saying as well, around his, rule of, appreciation over expectation. And I think when you run with the giver's gain principle, you're giving in some way, your level of appreciation or gratitude, you're giving that. So it's not about receiving. There's no expectation behind it where you have to get something in return. If you replace expectation with appreciation, your entire life will change. That's what Robbins's quote is. So it's a matter of, appreciating more. We give for the gift of giving, like you said before. There's no expectation to have it back in return. I don't expect to get anything back.
If you look at that, yeah, exactly. I think if you look at that, not just in business, but I think from culture, those cultures that gave more to each other thrived better between each other. The whole commune-based living is literally saying we're all self-sustainable, because it's not what you do and your title, it's how you give back. And teachers will teach, farmers will farm, guys that fix tractors will fix tractors, everybody shares, like people that grow cattle will grow cattle, and people that are good accountants will help with their money for other stuff, whatever. Like it really just makes kind of logical sense, and for business, I think you've got to really consider not only how it makes you feel, but also then what the potential is that can come out of it, which kind of leads me to the third part of
Sure.
this. So I just think, give and you'll receive really good karma, really good energy.
Mm-hmm.
Energy is everything. Whether you believe it or not, I mean, we're all about energy, and it's simple. If you do business with a business owner, it feels like take for every little change or every little thing, and they're never seeing being reasonable. Versus somebody that goes, sure, no, man, no problem, we'll get that sorted. Yeah, leave it with us. We'll do it. Who do you want to do with? The person that's reasonably flexible. And then often, even if you wanted it done, you don't even ask them. You just go, hey, yeah, just let me pay for this. It's a bit like that. So,
okay.
Then I think number 3 is the giver's gain principle is allowing you to position yourself to ask. Sooner or later, business is reciprocal, right? Sooner or later, it's always good for you to be able to ask, hey, do you want to come on board with us here at UpCoach? Hey, do you want to, come into the restaurant and, have a meal on us, or with us? Hey, do you want to, come and buy that surfboard from us after we've given you all the tips? Hey, do you want to build our home with us? Do you want it, right? Because, at the end of the day, you could give, I get it. Sooner or later, you need to, kind of ask a bit because, you still need to make money in business. But I think, if you can 80-20 principle, 80% give and 20% ask, I think that's fair balance, And I need to, make this point clear. You never want to be in a position where, you feel like you're being used or feel like you're sort of not getting anywhere or feel like, oh man, if I ask, people are going to freak out. Or you never want to feel that, right? Because then that sort of tips it into an unfair kind of realm. Whole principle around giver's gain is I'm happy to give, and hopefully sooner or later you'll be inspired to give me back, right? You give, like it's, and that's the goal. Instead of asking first, give first. That's the principle is that. So if you've given great advice, if you and Drew said this perfectly. He goes, man, we have people that 2 years later, after we've given them for 2 years, goes, who else are they going to go to? You're the person that's really made a difference in their life and helped them with that situation without the need for anything. And then, sure, they're going to remember you, right? So it's a bit like that, right? And I love that. I think what I do is I call those connection credits. You're planting connection credits. And let's say if you're estimating for jobs, estimate a fair few of those. But sooner or later, you're going to have to ask and go, hey, I've estimated 5 of your jobs, man. How are we doing with this? What's it going to take in order for us to get that? And that's fair. And then if you just find that they're not cool with it and they keep on no, well, all right. Then the giver's gain principle doesn't mean that you can't stop giving. Well, you've done the right thing, but you don't want to be taken advantage of either. So as long as you feel that it's a reciprocal energy exchange, then it's cool, right? Because
cool.
You see this in relationships, like I don't know, maybe a girlfriend would, constantly give and nothing from the boyfriend, and then sooner or later it feels like it's getting taken advantage of. So that's why it needs to be fair. But then you can position yourself to ask, and that's fair. I mean, we do it all the time. Hey, check this out. Hey, we'll give you this free stuff. Check this, check out all our stuff. Let's hop on a session. And then we're going to ask, hey, do you want to go ahead with us?
Yes. I think it helps to build that relationship too. People don't feel weird when you do ask. There's no awkwardness there. And more often than not, the clients or prospects, I should say, that we are speaking with, again, it's about giving value and giver's gain. We're giving without the expectation that they'll, buy or purchase. But it opens up the conversation and allows them to actually be open with us so that we can take a further conversation with them because they've seen great value. So it's almost like an opportunity to help share something with them that they may not have opened up to be shared with initially, if that makes sense. So instead of saying, exactly, hey, I want to show you something, but, there's a catch at the end, people will close that down pretty quickly versus, hey, if you need some help, like share a couple of problems and we'll help solve them on a call. Sometimes people can be skeptical about that. Oh, yeah, but what's the catch? There's no catch, man. It's like, we're just going to help you out.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's it.
It's you want to use something crazy, right? Like being up here, and I always like shouting lunches or dinners for the team and all of that stuff. So you're part of the team. It was really weird. Like Lana from our team shouted lunch at the hotel and stuff while we're at the pool.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got to say, it felt really weird me not doing it. And I found it a little bit hard to accept it. You know,
Right.
like I'm looking at the menu going, oh, like the burger's $30 and
Mm,
I'll order something cheaper. And
mm,
like I wasn't comfortable with the act of receiving
right.
because I just feel like, like I'm here and I'm the, boss of the company and,
Sure.
I should look after it. I don't need to look after it, but it felt a bit weird this morning with John Polo, we were talking about it and said, oh man, it was just awesome that, you shared kind of your family with us the last few days. And,
Mm,
we hung out and all of that stuff and everything you've done for me. I said something, he goes, dude, just take it as a compliment, accept it,
mm,
And it was really weird for me. So, and that sort of tells me that the giver's gain principle is very much alive in me
mm.
because I like giving, and you know this, you've been with me a long time.
Very much so. Yep.
And I don't like asking in return. I don't,
Mm,
and I don't know, maybe that's a good way to go through life, or maybe it isn't. But I think anybody listening to this or watching this, you've just got to feel comfortable yourself. It just, to me, it feels good to give. We give birthday gifts and all of that stuff.
mm.
Achievement gifts, someone had a baby gift, all of these.
That's right.
We do that often with all our tribe, and
Mm,
the mastermind itself is an act of giving as well, right? It's
mm,
2 days. It takes 3 months or 4 months to organize it.
mm-hmm,
Food, and we didn't have to do any of that, but we do it because we like doing it. And,
mm.
I think you said something interesting there as well, where some people just from the act of that, especially if they're not used to it, actually become kind of surprised by, geez, they're really doing this. And then they feel a level of comfort and
Mm.
they feel a level of safety, and then they're able to express themselves
Yes.
in a better way. Great icebreaker for somebody when you give them free advice
Yeah.
or a sample or
Mm,
go in and quote and measure and talk to them about samples for their drapes or whatever. Like
mm.
any of that stuff feels really good. It just lowers that tension of, geez, I've got to pay this guy to chat to him.
Yeah. Well, there's that element of skepticism, isn't there? And I don't know whether that's come from a societal norm of, there's always a catch. I don't know whether we're taught
Oh, I
that
think
or
so.
something, or,
That's
watch
instilled
out.
like that
Yeah.
completely.
So, when you're actually giving with, I call it giving with genuine intent. My genuine intention
That's
is to
really
help
good.
serve others and give them some advice so that they can improve their life or business or so on.
Really
And
good.
some people are sometimes skeptical about that. And
Well, they've
I
been
think
conditioned from
they've
that,
been
right?
conditioned, yeah. But I think the people that, even our clients right now, we work with people that we want to work with. We don't work with
Mm-hmm.
everybody. The people that work with us, our clients, are also of genuine intent. They want to genuinely help their
Oh,
customer.
completely. We see that every time we're in the room like that, right?
That's
Which
right.
is
Yeah.
pretty.
So that
It's
giver's gain
interesting.
principle, very
Well,
alive.
I heard a Tony Robbins. I was watching Robbins just on YouTube or whatever it was.
Hmm.
He said humans aren't meant to be happy. That's a ballsy statement. You know what I
Wow.
mean?
Okay.
Humans aren't programmed to be happy.
Oh.
Or something like that. And he said, actually, your internal programming is not built for happiness; it's built for survival.
Hmm.
That's ballsy, right?
Mm.
And then he explained it. He said, well, our DNA and everything about us is meant to, survive in the wild, right? But
Right.
now it's different. You survive, you got to pay the bills, pay the electricity,
Mm.
have a roof over your head, all of
Yes.
that stuff.
Yeah.
He said, so you have to absolutely change kind of the habit to work on happiness,
Yep.
because happiness is a byproduct of, okay, I'm safe. He
Mm.
said, so that's why people find it very difficult to be happy, because they're spending so much time working on their survival.
Mm.
And that was like kind of, cool because it's Robbins cool, right?
Mm. Mm.
But when you think about it in business, we spoke about this a bit at the mastermind. If you're always working on survival, trying to get your cash flow right, trying to sell, trying to manage stuff, put out fires all the time, it's difficult to work on your happiness because we're sort of not programmed
Mm.
for that. And
Mm.
I think the giver's gain principle actually cuts through that and starts to work on gratitude and starts to work on
Mm.
the ability for you to be happier doing what you do, because you can give with nothing, no expectation back. And it doesn't need to be of, $1 million. It could be, like you're saying, free advice. But to some people, free advice would be the best advice they've ever been given.
That's right.
It's invaluable,
Yes.
So it's kind of cool, right? So when you think about how practical the giver's gain principle is for your business and for you personally, if giving is what makes you happy, we'll just give more. The rest of the time we're trying to survive against the elements. And I thought, that's kind of groundbreaking thinking with Robbins around, that you could write a book just on it.
I think that's cool.
We're built to survive, not built to be happy. Because humans back in the day was, saber-toothed tiger, not good for humans.
Yeah, run away.
And that's what he was saying. And it's true. Everything's built for that. And now, if you've got all of that put together, that's why I see a lot of people that are rich just kind of unhappy, because now they no longer need to use that principle of survival because they got that. Now, how do I replace it with trying to figure out how to be happy? Maybe it's the bigger boat. Maybe it's the drama. Maybe it's the drama is what I think brings them back into survival mode or whatever.
Yeah, possibly. That's it.
It's crazy, right? So the giver's gain principle, when you give, there's an exchange of energy there that's really, really good for you.
Yeah, cool. Before we wrap up, and if you're listening or watching this, I want you to think about how you're giving to your people, to people that, don't have to be customers or clients. They can be family members. They can be friends as well. What are you doing in terms of the giver's gain principle? I want you to think about that as you're driving or running on that treadmill or whatever it is that you're doing when you're listening to podcasts. Before we go, Nick, can you summarize those 3 points again in relation to the giver's gain principle, please?
Yeah. So number one, if you really want to read more into it, obviously it's, you can check out Dr. Robert Cialdini. And maybe we'll have this in the notes or whatever. And the book or the audio is called The Psychology of Influence. Groundbreaking. It's made him in 50 countries in different languages or whatever.
Right.
Which is really, really cool. I got to meet him at Genius Network, which is kind of
cool.
Yeah. Number two, give more and you receive better karma and energy, and that's part of your daily sort of routine. And number three, it really, from a business point of view, positions you then to ask for business. So
perfect.
Win all the way around, and think about it like you're, creating connection credits, and it's good for you moving forward.
Great. If you found this episode valuable, please share it with your friends or give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for your time, Nick.
Thank you, sir.
We'll be back again next week. Another episode of Coaching Conversations. Bye now.
Bye now.